All right, great. Um, I have the great pleasure of introducing Jane Boer, who is our new Alaska Long Trail Project Officer, Program Officer, what's your job? Program Officer. Great. Anyone who's followed the Long Trail Project for the last 6 years knows Maria Medavaya, who was the shepherd and the steward of that project from a twinkle in some people's eye to an actual thing that has momentum and has received over $20 million of funding. Most of that from the feds, most of that for projects in Chugach National Forest and a little bit in Denali Borough. Some from the state, most of that for projects in Chugach State Park, and significant and profoundly meaningful support from the Rasmussen Foundation for getting that project to where it needs to go. So Mariam obviously leaves a huge legacy behind with the Long Trail, and now she is joyfully pursuing her next path in life, which includes going back to grad school to be a counselor and shepherding a teenager through the high school system. So we wish her well on those two things. Now we have Jane Boer. We replaced Mariam with another Girdwood resident by accident. So it's nice to have another person who lives along the Alaska Long Trail corridor working on the Alaska Long Trail. And I feel like we kind of got a great boon in getting Jane as an Alaska Trails employee. We stole her from the state of Alaska. So she's just a month and a half into your position? Yeah, great. And I'm going to read your bio, which is going to be fun. Jane and I have known each other for quite a long time. And so if I was going to do Jane's bio, I would say she skis really fast. She pack rafted the Grand Canyon when she was 6 months pregnant. And she's a great mom and a good friend. But her actual bio says, Jane previously managed municipal trust lands and provided local government assistance to tribes and municipalities across Alaska before she joined Alaska Trails. In this role, she traveled to villages and municipalities across Alaska to assist with all aspects of running local government and land management, from crafting and implementing local ordinances to land use planning to running local utilities. And then in 2019, Jane joined DNR, the DMLW, Division of Mining, Land, and Water, overseeing legislative regulations and public records unit. And then in 2023, she became the Realty Services Section Chief with oversight of acquisitions, title, and conveyance programs. So if you're wondering about like a high stress environment, like the state of Alaska, feds, land conveyance, title, I think it was maybe a high stress job. Yeah, high impact, high stress. Yeah. Um, and when Jane's not working, she spends her time with her family in Girdwood and skis, hikes, runs, and pack rafts. And she's been lucky to experience Alaskan traverses in the Brooks Range, the Wrangles, the Chugach, and the Talkeetnas. And that was all in unknown preparation for this role, including through hiking the PCT and the CDT. So we have a long trail aficionado running the long trail program now, which is pretty great. Jane's going to walk us through a few of the opportunities we have for this summer on the long trail, and also share some fun news about public facing websites and other things like that. So take it away, Jane. I'm going to be your Vanna White and tell me when to move ahead on the slides.
Hey, thanks for that. Yeah, it's really nice to meet you all, and I'm excited to join this team, Alaska Trails, and work on this amazing initiative, which is, I didn't know as much as maybe I should have before I joined the team. But the more I learn about it, the more excited I am about the Alaska Long Trail. And today I'm just going to give you a couple examples of how you can get out and use the Alaska Long Trail. My understanding is this group and a lot of people have already received a lot of information. But let's start with asking the question, do any of you know what the Alaska Long Trail is? Somebody please answer me, and I'll repeat so that we get it on. Turn right a little bit. Here on mine. Judy. Looking for designation as a C in the National Trail System. Criteria being action. Thanks, Judy. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Anybody else? Yeah, Taylor. Multimodal graded route. Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, notwithstanding the designation, we're gonna power forward, you know, whether we get it or not. Yeah, it's a group, point A, point B, and Stewart and Fairbanks, which is exciting. Tell me why that might be exciting, like why is that important? There's so many amazing trails. Why it is connected with. Yeah, you can drive. It's a route you could take in a car. Why is a trails better because it's nicer? Anybody else?
Brings in a lot of tourists, longevity of experience.
Yeah, big part. Will?
There's lots of people in state and across the world that know about and want to experience Alaska's backcountry, but without a piece of infrastructure like this, it's intimidating to know where to start, where to go. You know, how do you come up with a backcountry trip across Alaska, but it's like a line on the map kind of directing, like, here's the spot that a way to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jane, I'm going to interrupt your flow. Can you be like here-ish for the online folks? Just somewhere in that zone.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Yeah. All right, so we talked about investment, dollars, bringing people in, and then Will noted like, you know, without a route on a map, it's hard to know where to start when you're planning a trip to Alaska. Where do you go? Where do I park? Where do I hike? And the Alaska Trail provides those things. For me, I've done a couple of longer hikes and they're formative experiences, right? You get to go on a long trip, whether you do part of a trail or a whole trail, it changes your perspective about a place and it might make you into a student of that place. It might make you more interested in planning processes. It might engage you. It might get you excited about future trips. So a big infrastructure project like this is important because it brings people to Alaska and it also engages Alaskans, right? Getting us out there, getting us excited about what's available, excited about conserving things we care about, excited about investing in things we care about, like communities, and then connecting communities too, right? You know, you go and walk into Cantwell, you learn a little bit more about Cantwell and what they care about, what they need, and there's more of a connection between one place and another. So I think it's important to think about, like, why would we do this? Is it just another big project? It's not. I think it's a really wonderful thing to have in a state, a long trail experience. So we're gonna tell you that there are some experiences that you can have. I kind of kept it easy for me because I'm so new. I just kept it South Central, but I want to be clear that this is a trail from Stewart to Fairbanks. And so the experiences are all along the trail. Maybe we'll do a couple of these every year. So Haley, if you want to forward the slide. Oh, these are the ones we're going to talk about. And this is hard to see, but hopefully you guys can go and look at the slides. But it's a really cool aerial view of the route right now that we have for the long trail. Keep in mind the route's dynamic, right? We're not tied to any one thing and this might change. But right now, this is the route we have. We submitted a route for the destination. There's one. Go ahead and forward the slide. Okay, so this is especially exciting because the idea is to link trails together for bigger adventures, right? So Senator Murkowski secured some funding and U.S. Forest Service made some really good use of that funding down by Moose Pass and rebuilt some trails there, put in some bridges and built some new trails in that area. And what you're seeing now is just south of Moose Pass, there's that trail connection right there. It's also known as the Moose Pass Trail, but right now you can see you could just start just south of Moose Pass. You'd go 32 miles into Seward. There's like one little gap, and Haley's been very clear that a gap is a gap. I can't tell people to walk down the road. So, you know, but you can start up there and hike down or bike down. There's lots of campgrounds. You can stay with your family. You could drive down there, stay with your family, and do different parts of this adventure on different days. Or you could do it as a through hike. And luckily there's food on either side, which is so exciting for everybody who wants to like have an adventure and eat. So you could go to Moose Pass and then finish in Seward and have some ice cream, or you could go other way and finish in Moose Pass. So that's the new trail, and it's a linkage. The idea of it create all of the adventures. And then we had some side alternate trails too. I think you'd be happy to see that we included the Iditarod here. There's side routes here on the Iditarod route, the Bear Lake right here. And then there's also been improvements to the Meridian Lakes area. So you could do some other things too. But yeah. Do you guys have any questions or want to say anything? You all look so hungry. No, I think it's really exciting that there's a new trail down there and just, yeah, just go down there and check it out. Will, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. I'll just say, thanks for highlighting that stretch of trail, Jane. Thanks for highlighting this, Jane. Yeah, so the Moose Pass Trail specifically, like the stuff south of Kenai Lake, that's been there for a long time. The stretch along into the north of Kenai Lake, that's newer. Just a big shout out to Alaska Trails for requesting the funds to Senator Murkowski to make that happen. The stretch along Kenai Lake, that was all constructed the last couple of years. We've had broke that up into kind of a north and south phase with contractors. So geo contracting based out of Kirkwood, did the southern bit, and then Kijik, got some folks here with Kijik Technical Services. They did the northern bit. They both wrapped up last summer, basically in October-ish. That their work completed. So that makes let's see, it's about 7-8 new miles of trail from Snow River to Ptarmigan Campground that opened in October. And if you haven't been on it, both contractors did a heck of a job. I think some highlights are over Victor Creek. There's a 100-foot bridge that's like over a really incredible gorge, and then the stretch to the north there where PJ was working. It's the best views you can get at Kenai Lake, I think. And we're real excited about that work and looking forward to additional work. Again, through Alaska Trails advocacy and Senator Murkowski's support, we got additional funds that hopefully will allow us to continue that trail north to Moose Pass proper. That's where we're headed next, and we're real excited about that opportunity, and thankful of the advocacy work of our partners here to make that possible.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. And I think it's a really good example of, okay, well, people go out there and enter into Moose Pass, maybe there'll be some investment in economic opportunity in Moose Pass, and they'll get excited about future trail projects that maybe connect up to Johnson Lake. And then you've got a pretty serious connection there for many, many, many miles for adventures people can have. Okay, next
Jane,
one.
can I real quick?
Yeah.
I feel like Alaska Trails is just like the frosting on top of this like many layered cake that is this trail system, and like our desire to connect this and make the long trail. Like it started with the actual Iditarod, and then it started with the Iditarod National Historic Alliance and the designation of that as a trail, and then the work of those folks with the Forest Service to figure out that they wanted a rec route because the actual old route of the Iditarod was the Seward Highway, and recreation is better when it's not on a shoulder of a highway generally. And so they like figured out they wanted this rec route, and then there were the start of some things. We had like the Snow River to Victor Creek before, but then certain projects funding ended or funding wasn't continued. So like all the layers were in place for like I feel like we get a lot of accolades for like, oh, they connected these trails, but like we kind of didn't do anything besides ask Senator Murkowski to like direct some money towards all the work that was already done to like connect this thing together and make it happen. So like if we had been like, hey, we think we should build a trail from Seward to Girdwood, and there wasn't all of that work already done, like we'd be still talking about a conceptual trail in like 80 years. And instead there were like plans on a shelf at the Forest Service, and there was like funding and initiative from these other organizations. And so for me, it's like all it takes then is like there needs to just be like one more drop in the bucket that like pushes it over and makes it happen. And so we're very excited to be the drop in the bucket, but we were not the 5 gallons in the bucket before. Anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
All right, I think that's a good chance too for us. I mean, our role in this is to provide resources to people, get funding, move projects along. And as part of that, we're launching our website, a lot of good information. There is already an interactive map and a route, so you can go and do some trip planning, right? And at some point, that map is going to be like, okay, I'm a bicycle, I want to do mountain biking, I want to do mountain biking trip, and hopefully we can spit out an adventure for you based on your criteria and your preferred use. And you can go, check out the Alaska Long Trail based on what timelines you have and what use you have. And Mark, I think you brought that up at one of our meetings. I think that's an excellent idea, planning tool. So we can get people excited, engaged, hopefully fund projects for land managers and landowners and pull this all together over probably a long period of time. Okay. Oh, you can skip that. We talked about all that, right?
I don't know. I say
we did. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always get pretty excited about so now this one is a little bit different. I think it's nice to provide adventures and opportunities that are big and small. Has everybody driven down by Portage? I love that drive. It's one of my favorite drives. You know, you're driving to go skiing and the sun is rising and Portage is just like beautiful with the clouds and the swans and the beautiful valleys. And I think people don't always think about, oh, hey, I could just spend some time on this amazing new 8-mile multi-use bike path down there, especially for families. You know, if you can want to go and rollerblade with a stroller, there's a bunch of big parking lots now that you can park out. There's 2 tunnels. The green ones are tunnels. I took my 4-year-old down there, and we made it like 2 miles before she decided she just wanted to go through the tunnel. No, and the thing about it is you can be on this like bike path by a road, but still be connected to all these places in Alaska because you're on a long trail that connects all these places. So it has like a different feeling and meaning when you're on it. So this is a nice adventure you can have Friday.
Is that one connected to the Trail of Blue Ice?
Yes, it is. The question was, is it connected to the Trail of Blue Ice? And it is under a tunnel. Right? Yeah. So you can make this into a wonderful family adventure and go do the Trail of Blue Ice or camp in the Willowwalk camping ground and just bring bikes, with your kids and be on the Alaska Long Trail. It is I've been down there a bunch. It's a really nice bike. And it's an example of infrastructure funding that is really nice in this kind of push to provide areas where people can recreate on a bike path or a separated pathway or on a trail. This is a good one that you guys should do. Oh, and before we go on, sorry, Haley, there also has been an enormous amount of work by the Forest Service on the Turning and Arm Trail. So there's 6 miles of amazing bike path there, and they're working on connecting that down. Eventually, you can see all those little bridges. Those are ideally future bridges and future trail. So that'll be connected sometime in the future up to the Turning and Arm Trail and to Johnson Pass, and then that connection will be all the way to the end. It'll take some time, but there are projects in the work right now for the next couple of years.
Yeah, so Turning Pass Trail.
So loud.
Turning and Pass Trail is what you're seeing on the left-hand screen. Eventually, right now, the trail continues to, right where Haley's pointing there from black to yellow line is kind of the end of the trail. We have a contract out right now. Contractor is extending that down to sea level where you'd be able to tie into the bike path. Look for that work to be complete next summer. There's going to be likely one bridge connection that'll probably be a year behind that, but yeah, that's working on making that connection now.
Thanks. I did call Will before this and he gave me all this information, but it's so much better when you say it. Okay, you want to do the next one? Yeah, and this is just like things you can do with your family. Go to the Baggage Box Visitor Center, and there's food down at the Portage Glacier Lodge. Sometimes I Google that.
Do you think you're especially excited about the tunnels because you have a 4-year-old? Yeah.
Those are so cool. This is another example, kind of as we head north, of some how important linkages are. So you could go and just A lot of folks here have probably done the Crow Pass Trail, which is absolutely spectacular. It's like one of the best trails in the world, I think. And there's work on it right now to improve it, as you guys heard about yesterday. But what you could do is link it all the way through Girdwood on the Iditarod Trail. And so you could get a train ride to the depot and walk all the way to Eagle River from the Girdwood train depot. And it includes food stops. So you could go walk through Girdwood, have some coffee, have some food, and then walk up to Crow Pass, and then hike Crow Pass and in Eagle River. So you can combine adventures into something more, something exciting. Or, like people from out of town could do this where they fly into Anchorage, take the train, which is a wonderful, beautiful experience, and then hike up to Eagle River and then get a shuttle back to Anchorage, which is just kind of a nice, like, packaged trip. People come into town. And I'm from Girdwood, so I love it. I spend a lot of time on the Iditarod. There's been some lovely improvements in the last year. There's a new bridge last year. The trail is really nice, and it's a lovely place to walk when it's raining, which it is in Girdwood. Yeah.
You can visit the cruises over here as they do volunteer trail work on the lower Iditarod in Girdwood. And then you can visit Gus, the trails manager at the Eagle River Nature Center on either end of your traverse.
Yeah.
I want to mention one thing on that map it's not showing currently, but we did get funding for the suspension bridge that's going to replace the hand tram. So that project is starting this summer and it will continue next summer. So you don't have to come you have to come to ice cream in Girdwood, I suppose, but if you didn't want the ice cream, you could cut off that one leg of the triangle.
I was looking at pictures of that bridge. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah. And then of course you could always do, end up doing the 20-mile pack raft as well if you wanted to do Upper Winter Creek, which is part of the Alaska Long Trail route. So there's lots of adventures.
Jane, these are all screen grabs from from a website that Jane's going to tell you about. Can you tell us about the arrows?
Oh, yeah. Are they arrows? They're campsites.
No, these arrows.
Oh, yeah. That's the way the water flows. Go that way. Yeah.
There are still obviously several water connections on the Long Trail, and we did incorporate into some new materials the fact that like parts of these routes are directional. So like if you want to go Seward to Girdwood, it's going to be real tricky to go up 20 miles. So maybe you want to think about going Girdwood to Seward if you're a pack rafter and you want to incorporate a water route.
Another one here is the Moose Loop. So I think one of the things about the Alaska Long Trail that's especially exciting is that it can be whatever we want it, right? I mean, that if we get a designation, that will be the route that's designated, but also you can identify main and alternate routes. And there's always going to be contingents of people who want to do just biking or who really enjoy the town or gateway community aspect of doing a long hike. They want to hike down to a community and they want to go to a brewery and they want to celebrate what they've done. So one of the routes for the Long Trail heads down into Anchorage and connects with the Moose Loop, which is now available for you to look on an interactive map. You can look at ours, you can look at Anchorage Park Foundation, and I think it's on Strava and it's on all these interactive places where you can look and follow it, this whole loop. Which will include food and also it's just like, of course, and has beautiful views in different places. Like, if you haven't been on the Tony Hills trails, you're really missing out. It's beautiful to see the inlet or the arm, and then also it gets up high and you can see a view of Anchorage. So it's an example of a wonderful adventure you can have this summer that's great, located in Anchorage. Yeah, and the rollerblading. I think Haley told me once about stroller rollerblading. I mean, there's so many ways to get out and enjoy yourself for just a few hours or for a day or whatever it is. But I think you stroller rollerbladed a lot of that.
With a friend.
With a friend. Well, yeah.
I didn't just like take someone's kid.
Yeah. Okay, this one is tough because I can't remember all of the little trails names. But for a backpacking route, here is where the route is. That's now a connection already existed, but now you can think of them more holistically as like, hey, this is a connected trail, all the way from Chudiak to Nick. And you or Nick, and you could start in Kirkwood and do it all the way, but that goes through Ram Valley, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I left it out. So we start here at Peters Creek Trailhead, and then you go up Mount Laguna, and then these are all these beautiful ridge walks that you could just, you know, enjoy some ridge time and then dump down into the Laguna Spillway and camp there. And there's some resupply down there. There's, I think, a little shop where like food,
Ice cream.
ice cream, jump in the lake, enjoy yourself for the day, and then finish the hike and dump out at Nick. And I think that would be a really spectacular vacation. For some people, that would be the vacation of their life. So yeah, I think this is just meant to kind of showcase like, hey, there are all these different kinds of trips. So the back trip, I think, is kind of tough to do. You know, I think you're carrying a lot of food. I think it's challenging. I think it's bushwhacking and some scrambling, but it might be really, really fun. And there's some alternates you can do too. And I think I have the mileage on the next bit, but that's a pretty good connection of mileage. Yeah, so I think you can make it 36 miles to do it. And that one is another example of improvements. Right along Lake Laguna, all that trail there has been improved. So there's like a motorized bit, a non-motorized bit. And that's another example of Alaska Long Trail segment that's been much nicer now. And those, I mean, those are just examples of things you can do. And that's kind of luckily my job. I get to talk about that stuff all day. I'm really excited about it. And then provide people resources so that they can do those things too. Ideally get people engaged and excited. So they want to support the Alaska Long Trail and then also support, you know, communities along the Long Trail. And then through that process also we're engaging people who will hopefully become stewards into the future, whether it's for protecting and conserving areas that the trail goes through, or supporting community investment, or maybe they want to become people who do trail work. I hear a lot of people who are athletes for a long time and they're like, oh, I want to give back. And they do trail work because they've been on those trails for a long time. But I think just having this infrastructure available provides a basis for a future where we continue investment, continue engaging people. And that's what our predecessors did for us. And so hopefully that's right to them. And that's kind of what the trail provides. That was kind of it. I know this is before lunch here. Hungry, but maybe if you have questions for me, I'm sure I'm supposed to talk about more things. Haley?
What's AlaskaLongTrail.org?
Oh yeah, there's a website that you've said several times. Yeah, we're gonna launch a website this year. We're working pretty hard on it. Rasmussen has funded a lot of our work to implement our strategic plan. Very much appreciated, and Mariam and Willie Dalton have done an incredible job building the implementation of that plan. That includes a website with an interactive map and planning resources, and a lot of really great information and ways that you can get involved or fund. So yeah, be looking out for that. It'll roll out in June. The interactive map is already there. So if you just go to AlaskaLongTrail.com, you'll get there. And then we also have a photo contest. We need content really badly. And so part of this presentation was a little self-serving, and that we'd love for you to get out there and have some adventures, take some pictures, tell us what it's like for you. You could do a trail report, you could do a picture, you could do a video, and give it to us, and we can post it on social media or our website, and then get people engaged about, you know, for their own personal thing. Anybody have any questions for me?
Do you know of anyone anecdotally or otherwise that has done full route?
You know, there's consequences to everything you do. And I realized just recently I'm gonna have to be the arbiter of like, who has done this, right? Somebody emailed me yesterday and they were like, if I hike this route, are you gonna count it as a through hike? And I was like, oh man, I just don't want to be in charge of that. And maybe a third party we can do it. I don't know the answer to that question. Nope, this person who emailed me has not done it yet. And maybe they will. I don't know. There have certainly been historically people who have gone amazing long adventures in Alaska, but not on this specific route. And I think if somebody were to do the route or something similar to the route, you did it, you hiked from Seward to Fairbanks, and that's amazing. It gets you true.
Someone we're hearing from this afternoon, she's the ED of the Trails Group in Juneau. Her master's work is working with the mountaineering clubs on their old, she's like combing through old archives in Fairbanks, looking at all these old reports. So I have put a little pin in with her that if she like ever sees anything close to like a report about this corridor from 1897 or something, like it'd be really cool to have that record. Like obviously we know folks have gone from Seward to Nome, and we know folks have gone from Denali to Fairbanks, and we know folks have gone from Palmer to Denali, like, but as of yet, no one's been like, my grandfather went from Seward to Fairbanks in 1897. And obviously much of this is also like traditional corridors of travel. Like there's a reason that the Iditarod followed certain routes. It's because before the Iditarod was here, there were Alaska Native people who were traveling these routes for certain reasons, but we also don't have any like anecdotal record of like all the way from Seward to Fairbanks for that purpose, because people were living and they weren't like, hey, what if we went from A to B? They were like, hey, what if we went from A to our neighbor and, you know, traded goods and services and had like a community travel. So I think there's like a lot of, maybe in Alaska, maybe all over like the outdoor community, there's a lot of like, I want to be first culture, or like, I want to like conquer this trail culture. And that's fine. Like, I don't think we can get rid of that. But I think what we hope to do is like really highlight experiences that people can have. And it'll be great if someone does the whole route before the trail is built, and that's cool. But I think our role as the promoter of this trail, and the acquirer of funds for construction and maintenance, is to highlight the diversity of experiences. And so my opinion is that it's not necessarily all that much cooler to go all the way from Seward to Fairbanks in like hardman style, and it's like just as cool if you want to ride your bike from Seward to Moose Pass with your preteen. Like that's also very rad to me, and very rad to like us as an organization. So yeah,
I was gonna see if I could get paid to do it. Where I am.
I was just thinking, I think KMTA, didn't they sponsor, the watercolor artist? And now I can't remember his
Max.
name, but he went and he sketched before we even started on this whole project
yeah.
and sketched out that. So just a shout out for KMTA, because they've helped us a lot. So this was an interesting watercolor.
Yeah, check out Max Roney, his videos online. I think we might even link to it from our YouTube page, and it's also on the Long Trail page on alaskatrails.org. But yeah, I think he bushwhacked some of those INHT sections on the Seward portion before the new build outs, and it looked terrible. I'm surprised he still like had his watercolor notebook left at the end, because the others looked heinous. And maybe one last thing is like, why do you have alaskatrails.org and alaskalongtrail.org? If you go to alaskatrails.org, there is obviously still long trail information on there. But for years it's been like, are you interested in federal funding for the Alaska Long Trail? And like, yeah, we are really interested in federal funding for the Alaska Long Trail. But if you're someone who wants to use the Alaska Long Trail, odds are you don't care about federal funding for the Long Trail. So the new Long Trail website is very much like, are you a user? Are you trying to have an experience on this corridor? That's going to have resources for you. If you're like, hey, I wonder in fiscal year 23 how much money the state gave to state park projects that were affiliated with the Long Trail, we're still your place to go, alaskatrails.org. So if you're dying to read that information, we still have it. But if you're a user, go to alaskalongtrail.org. Yeah. Anything else for Jane before we let you eat?
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.